So now that I have my graph from my calorimetry data, I want to go ahead and find the average or the maximum or the minimum temperatures, and I want to annotate the graph. So right now I have both of my experiments showing on the same graph. So I want to just look at one at a time. So I just turn off one of the check boxes. And if you look at the bottom bar, you'll see you may have the hand highlighted in orange. You want to make sure that the little dashed box is highlighted. And what that does is if you just drag your finger, it allows you to select a certain area of the data. And if you hit that, it's the sum tool. It looks like a sideways E. If you click on that, it will allow you to get certain statistics out of the data. So in this case, we want to know the average or the mean. So here, this is our mean value, and just as a hint, you're going to have to annotate by creating a text box. So if you drag the statistics box to the upper right-hand corner, you'll be able to see it when you annotate. So you need to do this because that little box is going to disappear and change when you select different areas of the data. So down on the bottom bar, you can see a capital T that lets you add a text box. So if you click that, now I want to know that I want to write average. I just want to record what I have. Average is 20.61 centigrade. And I hit OK, and so now I have a box that's going to stay there. So now if I move my highlighted area to this next section of data, and you want to be careful that you really are selecting just the data that you're interested in. So this little dip here, that's when I took the lid off. And this dip here is when I also took the lid off. So I don't want to record data from that area. So if I'm looking for an average or a minimum or a maximum, I really want to make sure that I'm selecting just the data that is pertinent to getting that value. So for this part, I need to know both the average value and I need to know the maximum value based on the instructions in the lab report. And again, I need to select T so that I get a text box, and I will say this time I'll need to know the maximum, so I'm going to write that down. And I also need to know the average, so I'm going to record that. And then again, for this last area of the data, up here, I need to know my maximum value. And so I want to make sure I'm highlighting all of the data where I may hit a maximum. And again, I'm going to annotate, and I'll say max 33.49. So whether you want a maximum or a minimum or an average just depends on the particular experiment, so make sure you read the instructions so that you know which values you need. So now that I've done all of my highlighting and annotating, I can delete the selection box, and I can also delete this box with the statistics on it because I have here my fully annotated graph, and those text boxes will stay there until I delete them. So now if you wanted to work with run 2, if I wanted to work with run 2, I just turn that on, turn run 1 off, and again, I could just start by highlighting. So just as an example here, like you see a little blip here where the temperature jumped slightly, that would be an errant data point, so you wouldn't necessarily want to include that if you were looking for your maximum. So my maximum is going to be someplace out here. Then after you annotate both graphs, if you want to see both of them at the same time, you can just turn on both runs 1 and 2. And you'll be able to see all your annotations and then take a screenshot of that and upload it to the team drive.